Hello, my name is Cassandra and I haven't made a video like this in so long. I'm going to talk about my writing progress. First of all, you see a different background because I changed the position of the furniture in my house. So now there is no bookcase in the back, there is the fridge and in the far distance there is the toilet. So you don't need to see that. I hope it's not, distracting. I think it's good. I think I chose a neutral color. So normally I record my writing updates video in the day when I upload the video. But right now it's Sunday and I have a lot of things to talk about. So I'm going to record this video and on Saturday I will make another video to talk about the updates and then I will edit it and upload it all together. So I have a list of some things I want to talk about. First of all, I started working at my book again around Christmas when I went to Athens, because I don't live in Athens anymore. I live in a very beautiful city called Nafplio, but I went back to Athens for the holidays to see my dad and my sister and my relatives, and I knew I would not be able to record, I would not be able to make any analysis of movies, so I took my laptop and I took a specific document which is all my notes from the first draft of my book, all the things that have changed and I need to change them in the second draft. The problem is that there are so many radical changes and I actually write down in a notebook all the chapters of my story and what happens in every chapter. So a lot of that information didn't apply anymore, and when I wanted to look back on what had already happened in my story, I would look at the chapters and then I would try to remember, oh, this changed and this doesn't apply anymore. So it was chaotic. I needed to organize things and I needed to delete what was no longer valid. The thing is, after I started this process, I realized that there were many things in the way I perceived my story while writing the first draft that were wrong. For example, there is a protagonist, okay, and there are 2-3 more main characters. I do have a detailed analysis with these characters' backstories and of course the protagonists, but when I started writing my story, although I did know where every character was going to be the moment the story starts, but from the first chapter until the third character appears, I did not really consider this character's path, I should say. One thing that I realized I was doing wrong is the fact that I did not see from the character's eyes from beginning until the end. Because there is a protagonist and there are 2 or 3 more main characters. So when something happened and there is a change of point of view in my story, the point of view character changes. Not from the beginning though, and I will talk about that as well. So when the point of view character changed and it was back to my protagonist, I did not really consider what the other characters were doing. And then when my protagonist met again with those characters, I had to kind of figure out on the spot what had happened. So that resulted in a very like a draft work. I didn't pay enough attention to the characters, the other characters other than the protagonist. And so after I started organizing my chaotic notes, I decided to pay more attention to that and to make sure that I see through my character's eyes from beginning until the end, even in the scenes that happened off camera, so to speak. Then another thing, I don't want to say problem, but another thing appeared, which is the fact that I need to find the balance. I'm looking at my notes because I cannot remember everything, between thinking from each character's perspective and understanding what would work plot-wise. Which is a problem in my story, if one of my characters reveals information about a magical book, and then the next chapter suddenly the characters come across this magical book, this is too convenient. It doesn't work plot-wise. And even if it was realistic for this character to reveal that information at that moment, it would look like too much of a lucky coincidence to come across the book so soon, at least from my perspective. So I have to consider how to do this. And yeah, that's actually a problem that I don't yet know how to solve. But even deeper than that, I have to understand each different character's point of view. Whenever I write from their perspective, or even in dialogues, of course, I have to completely be immersed in that character's needs and wants, and to understand how they feel based on their past, based on their subconscious thoughts and fears and insecurities and everything, and the conscious things and the things that happen to them, and the urgency to do certain things and to survive, of course. So that's a lot, and I love it. I absolutely love it, but it's a lot. And I guess I am now kind of understanding it, or I don't know, I thought I was doing it already, but I realized that I did not really do that, at least not to the extent. Basically, oftentimes I would find myself trying to change a character's actions in order to fit the narrative that was mostly convenient for my protagonist. That meant that the characters were not true to themselves, because I was trying to make the story fit my protagonist's path. But the other characters do not follow her path. The other characters have their own needs, their own fears, and they are not willing to just let go and follow her and help her so easily. And I really like this. I like that all of my characters are so distinct personalities, but at the same time, I came to another realization, which is, do I actually have a protagonist? Or are they all protagonists? Do I want the story to follow one path? Or do I want my characters to follow their own path and see where the story goes? So this realization is that I don't want to have a protagonist, because my characters are unique and I care for the needs of all of them, and they have strong motivations, so I don't want just my protagonist's path to prevent the others from being full characters. I don't know if it makes sense. I hope it does. And after having this realization, I decided to actually, because I had my story until I think the 7th chapter, or maybe the 5th or 4th, it was all from my protagonist's point of view. And then, at some point, the protagonist loses consciousness, and I need to reveal some information from another character's point of view. So the point of view changes, and then it changes again and again, and at some point goes back to the protagonist, and it keeps changing. So then all the characters basically, I guess the supporting characters become main characters, which is a little strange, I guess. It's not consistent for a story. The readers start with a different mentality. They have different expectations based on the first 4 chapters that I gave them. And then suddenly the supporting cast become main characters. So it's not good. It's not good. There is no consistency in that, and I betray the readers. And more importantly than that, since I want my characters to be main characters, since I want them all to be front stage, then I just need to do it from the beginning. So I decided to make it from the first chapter is like the way I have it, from Irene's point of view, the former protagonist. The second chapter will be from Leo's point of view, and the third chapter from another character's point of view. I know his name, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it, so I don't reveal it. So that's how I'm going to do it now. And this changes so much, and I love it. I love this change because I don't want my story to be controlled by the plot. I want my characters to experience a journey, to experience life. And I cannot do this if I am thinking of the plot. I cannot do this if I am constantly trying to make them go a certain direction. And oftentimes, I came across an obstacle while doing that. And for many days and weeks, I would try to make them go around these obstacles, and oftentimes I would manage, but then I would meet with a wall I didn't know how to overcome. And I think this new mentality for my story is going to be tremendous. It will make a tremendous difference in the way I see my book, in the way I write, because I will just let go of the plot. Of course, there will be a plot. There will be constant danger. And most importantly, my characters have goals. And that's the plot. They want to achieve certain things. They are not lifeless. They are not with no desires. So there is a plot, but not in the way of let's find the magical book. I want the book has to play a major role in the story because of many, many reasons. And it's something that all 4 of my characters want. And so the book will be an important part of the story. But until we get to that point, I don't want to force my characters into a path in order to find the book and to complete their respective goal. I want them to live life. I want them to experience whatever life brings, and then the book will come in their way in some way. I haven't figured this one out. I had 2 or 3 times, I think, I have rewritten this scene on how the former protagonist, my former protagonist, Irene, how she comes across the book. And all these 3 different variations of the scene were badly written. It was either unrealistic, too convenient, or it happened without her seeing it and someone else told her that the book is there. It was bad. So now I'm trying to figure this one out. And it's an important thing to figure out how my characters are going to come across the book. And Irene actually doesn't have knowledge of the book, but I may change that. I am working on that. I'm not sure how it's going to go. Because, like I told you, if another character tells her about the book and then the next chapter she comes across the book, it will be too convenient. But at the same time, if she knows about the book, the readers must also learn about it. I am not sure how to make this work out, because it's not something that she would consciously look out for. She wouldn't search for that. So I will work on it. And most importantly, I will start writing again from the second chapter with different point of views. So now basically it's my characters who are all going to experience things their own way in each chapter separately. So it's not the protagonist and the main characters. It's not necessarily supporting cast either. Could be enemies. No spoilers. Everyone will experience their own journey, and I will start doing this from the beginning. So instead of going from the first chapter, which is Irene's point of view, to the second chapter, which was Irene's point of view, where she went to another place and she met Leo. Now the second chapter is going to be Leo's point of view and what he experienced in the place he was in and how he met Irene and what happened afterward. And the third chapter is going to be from another person's point of view. And that's sort of how I have it in my mind right now. And I actually want to work on this immediately. I love this idea. And I had never realized it before, how important it is for me to, get in the mentality of my characters and experience the plot through them instead of forcing them onto the plot. This is what they say, character-driven story or plot-driven story, I think. Character-driven is when the character's choices can change the plot, but plot-driven is when characters are just destined to go after this specific goal in this specific journey. And I remember specifically a very simple example like Lord of the Rings. It's a plot-driven story, not a character-driven story, because it was all about the ring. and getting the ring to Mount Doom and destroying it. So, yes, these are the things I wanted to tell you, and it's still Sunday. So I'm going to record another video on Saturday when it's the time to upload the video, and I will edit everything and upload them all together. I'm just very excited. I'm just very excited. And I am happy with this realization, and I really want to see how it's going to go now that I will be seeing the world of my story through my characters' eyes, through all of their eyes. Okay, it's going to be a little crazy, I guess. I will need to make so many notes. Oh my god. Because I will have to keep track of every character's emotions and actions in each chapter. And when I am at the chapter where Irene is her point of view, I still need to consider what's going on with Leo and with the other guy and with the other main character protagonist. So, yeah, exciting, more time consuming, more complicated, but I love it. I love it. It makes me very happy to even think about it. So, yes, these are my news so far. Needless to say, my notes were so chaotic when I went to Athens and I had my laptop. Of course, I still couldn't do a lot of work because I was with my dad, I was with my family. But when I actually worked on it, and the best time to work on it was the journey, because I went with the bus and it's 2 hours, and I just wanted a delay. Please, I hope we reach there an hour later so that I can write more. But my notes were so chaotic. I had written corrections on a big part of a story, or an important part of a story that later on I completely deleted. So this huge explanation, I had to understand how much of it was valid, how much of it was not. And in the end, when I thought, oh, okay, I realized it, then I see the note and I remember that, oh no, I was supposed to delete the entire thing. That's okay. I learned, this is my first book, and I will make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. If we don't make mistakes, it means that we are not trying. And I want to try, and I want to be really, really good at writing, and I want to create a really, really good story that's going to affect people. And I hope my story will help make the world a better place. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. I just need to keep moving forward. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. And I will make a second video where I hope I will be the same excited on Saturday. So I guess see you then, which is like in the next second. Bye bye. Hello, my name is Cassandra and today it's Saturday. And actually the last video that I recorded on Sunday was recorded last Sunday. Actually, last Sunday, so 2 weeks ago. Yeah, let's see my progress. So, since I decided to start the chapters by changing perspective each time, changing the point of view character, I kept the first chapter as it was, but I was not satisfied about it because the second chapter and the third chapter are significantly shorter than the first one. And they basically give an idea of who the characters are, of what they want to do, what's their goal. I need to change the first chapter because in the first chapter, basically the inciting incident happens, so there is a little bit of backstory. The exposition happens naturally, so it's not, info dump. It's not paragraphs of text, but it's longer than the next two chapters, and I feel like it moves too quickly. Instead of starting from that place, based on the second and third chapters, I decided to basically have a small introduction about the protagonist, the former protagonist, and make it much shorter, perhaps a dialogue. I know what it's going to be about, but I haven't yet written it, and I need to come up with a plan, because there will be a plan in order to escape. And I'm not saying anything more. Yeah, I need to work on that. It's not going to take long, I believe. I just need to think of that plan. Now, as I move to the third chapter, where the third main character is, I realized that his background story has actually changed because initially, because of my notes actually, my notes, the chaotic notes, when I put everything in order, I realized that this character actually has received the most significant change. So I had to edit his backstory and everything, and I did that for a few days. Yeah, and since I am still working on that, I want to finalize my characters in order to let them take the lead for the story. If they are not fully developed, then the story will not be consistent. And that was the problem so far with all my notes, is that so many things changed along the way because I did get to meet my characters. And they did change, and I'm not talking about character development, but about who they truly were. They showed me their true colors on paper. So I had to make changes in their backstory and sometimes even their goals, their initial goal. So, I finished with two of the main characters. I finalized them. And now it's the former protagonist that I need to finalize. I need to think of this plan specifically. This is all that I still have to do. And then the other main character, I have to make a couple of changes there. And then in my notes, I have written that I need to change something that has to do with the distant past. I'm not going to give more information about this, but I need to make some changes about this thing, and then I can actually start writing. I really look forward to start writing, but I know I need to make these changes. And of course, again, everything is open. Things may change again. I may need to make more changes in the second draft. Yeah, that's fine. Again, I keep thinking again and again that this is the first book that I write, and I don't have a teacher. I go at this on my own. I have watched a seminar on writing. I have heard from other writers and authors advice and everything. I have watched YouTube videos on how to do things, but it's very different to just watch all these tutorials and listen to advice. And many times advice is contradicting. People say, show, don't tell. But oftentimes you also have to tell. And some information in your story is much better said than shown. And there are extra videos that talk about this. There are people who explain why most of the advice you listen about writing is wrong. And, it can be chaotic. So at some point, you just stop watching everything and then you just write and think, okay, I will figure it out. And if I meet with a wall, I will search for a solution. So far, I did meet with the wall many times, because I am a pantser right now. I was going to say hybrid author, but I don't think I identify like that anymore, because I really want to let my characters take the lead. I think even perhaps on an extreme level, because as an author, you need to make some choices. But I think the only choices I want to make and maybe the only choices I should make, is to put obstacles in their way. Nothing else. Then I let them do their own thing and I just write down. Like historical events. You just write what happens, right? You don't come up with things. So this is how I have it in my mind. We will see how it's going to go. I did meet with the wall oftentimes in my writing, even when I deleted the last 10 chapters, and I had great difficulty with that. I saw a helpful video, but it was not what I needed. And I actually started working on what that video said, and it just took more of my time away. That's a lot of money. And how much can you say in an hour? This is what I'm thinking. Like, you have this whole world. And I also wanted to ask what to do with the chapters that I am at, how to solve things with these 10 chapters that I deleted, how to deal with these problems. And I don't know, I feel like in order to do this, perhaps the best thing would be to have a friend, a writer, not just a friend, someone that you trust. And they also write and you can exchange the problems that you have. You can ask them to give you their feedback, and they will ask you to give them your feedback. I think that would be perfect. But I really have difficulty trusting people with my story. I think many writers have that. And the thing is that because my world, and everyone who writes a fantasy book, the world is big, right? There are many fantastical elements, lots of fictional laws, depending on what kind of story someone is writing. So in order to give all that to a stranger, not just about trust, but the other person must really be invested in your story. And, most people don't have all the time in the world to just read someone's imaginary world and give feedback. This actually requires a lot of time and dedication. So I think it's difficult to find a person like that. I have met a thriller author who has many bestsellers, many books that have been bestsellers, and he has given me a lot of advice, but I see that most of it, not all of it, some of it doesn't apply to fantasy. So I also had to rewire my brain on what I should try to do with my story. And I am still finding myself in this regard because, most or all of the advice this person gave me, I really took it to heart because he has sold many books and he is very knowledgeable. And what he says actually makes sense. So even with my logic, I thought, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, why didn't I think about that? So I would take notes. But in the end, it is right advice, what he told me, but it doesn't apply to fantasy. And that can be very problematic because I want as a fantasy author to make the readers immersed in my story, to forget about this world completely, to read my book and, transport to my world. But thrillers are all about action, are all about turning the next page, are all about suspense, twist, sure. But fantasy is not like that, at least not my fantasy, not the fantasy I want to write. And any fantasy book that I read did not have short chapters. And when I say short chapters, I mean 1-2 pages short. I want many people to read my book, but I don't want to just follow what works in order to attract readers. I want to transport them into my world. And I cannot do this if I just write short chapters and going like in crazy speed. So the first 3 chapters, I want them to be short because I want to introduce the characters and just give a tiny glimpse of who they are and in what kind of world they live in and what they want to achieve. That's the idea right now. And so I want the first 3 chapters to let the readers see a little bit of the characters. And then I want the chapters to have normal length. I don't know how that's going to go because I have been thinking of you need to write short chapters. And so on one hand, I think I have limited my creativity a lot in order to do that. On the other hand, I think that I have rejected all the information that was not necessary. So what is the balance between giving the information that's necessary, but also helping the readers become immersed in your world? I don't know. I haven't reached that level yet. And what's important for me, like with everything in my life, is to look at things one step at a time. And so right now, I need to finalize my characters. I will focus on that. After that, there is construction outside, so you may be hearing some interference. After that, I will start with the first chapter. I will change what the first chapter is about because I want it to be short to give you a glimpse into one of the main characters' lives. And then I will see what I'm going to do about the following chapters. Yeah, lots of things, lots of thinking, many realizations, but not much writing yet. And what I decided, because I couldn't write, an X amount of words, was to write an X amount of hours every day. My goal was to write 3 hours every day. But on Monday, so today is Saturday, on Monday I found a job and I started working on Monday. So I need to learn the menu of this fast food chain, and basically that's my problem right now. I need to spend time, not money, in order to make money. I need to spend time in order to learn the menu and how to cook everything and what needs to be done. So that takes some time out of the day. And then, of course, going to work. And writing, there's not enough time for that right now. But first of all, when I learn the menu, then I will have more time to write. Things will become automatic at work. But I will also do less meditations in time. I need to finish some things. I guess this is all for now. I cannot think of anything more to say. And I have to start doing things because I work today. And it's actually the good thing about this job is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. This week I worked the evening shift, and the restaurant closed at 12:30 a.m. Yesterday it was at 1 a.m. and today, because it's Saturday, it's at 1:30 a.m. And that's like hospitality. That's all it is. And I wake up with an alarm clock. Today I decided to not do that. Let my body rest. But the other days I would wake up at 8:30 was the alarm clock. And of course, when I came back home from work at let's say 12:45, I couldn't fall asleep right away, so I slept maybe at 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. maximum. But I woke up with an alarm clock. And today I said, okay, no alarm clock. Let me relax. And I woke up at 9:45 a.m. and I felt so bad because I thought, man, that's wasted time. Wasted time in sleep, which I know is not true. You need to sleep. But I want to write. And I know that if I don't, the book is not going to be written. And it doesn't matter if I work now like this, if next week is morning or if it's evening again. I think it will be morning. But I want to constantly, every day, give something to my writing. Because it's my goal. And in order to achieve something, oftentimes, maybe always, I think always, you need to sacrifice something else. So, I say bye-bye to my social life, especially right now, with the extra meditations that I'm doing. But all these things are very important to me and to the person that I am and to my own worldview. And yeah, so that is my sacrifice. A little less sleep. That's fine. And no social life. The thing is, when I was unemployed and I worked just on my book and made videos, I could go for a coffee, but I didn't do it like often at all. Maybe once a month, and that actually had an impact in my emotional state because I was feeling extremely alone, but I was not. I did have people who were asking me, "How are you? Let's go for a coffee." But I was like, I need to write, I need to make videos. And I realized that in the long term, this can actually be very bad for me, and I think for most people, because we are social by nature. So we need to find some balance, and right now working does give me some social life because I interact with other people in the kitchen, and that's good. That's really, really good and healthy. So yeah, I will find the balance between work, writing, life. Yeah, so that's all. I think that video came out quite long, 30 minutes. Oh my god, this video is going to be huge because I will also add the Sunday. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's going to watch this. That's all I had to say. Sacrificing sleep for writing. I approve of this message. But of course, if we do not get enough sleep, then we also cannot focus in order to write. And I will see you next week. I hope. I want to keep making one video every Saturday. I will not be able to make more videos on analysis because not enough time, but I do want to keep making these Saturday videos and to keep myself accountable as well in writing. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye.